What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Sicario Day of the Soldado, the sequel to the first movie. This movie is directed by Stefano Sollima, and it follows the characters of Matt Graver and Alejandro, played by Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro, respectively. Now, the whole plot of Sicario Day of the Soldado is pretty much the CIA is ordering Matt Graver to instigate a war between two cartels in Mexico, while all the while they stage the kidnapping of a Mexican drug lord's daughter, in which Alejandro has to pretty much be her protector after she runs away during a big shootout. All right, so let's waste no time. Let's get right into this. I'm gonna try and make this review as short as I possibly can. I overall think that Day of the Soldado is a good movie. It's not as good as the first movie, but I think on its own, I think Sicario 2 is actually pretty entertaining. Uh, Overall, first and foremost, the cast in this movie is great. Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro return from the first movie as Graver and Alejandro, and they're just as good in this movie as they were in the last movie. Though I think in this movie, I like the progression of Alejandro as a character, particularly when he has to pretty much care for the little girl named Isabel, and pretty much becoming her protector in a way. It adds an extra layer to Alejandro's character. They don't develop any father-daughter bond or anything like that. They don't get that close or anything, but I do like the fact that but it does add a wrinkle to Alejandro, and being that he used to have a daughter who was murdered, it does have like a little bit of a Joel and Ellie Last of Us type deal going on, but very under the surface level. I mean, Alejandro is still a cold-blooded killer, but I like how he gets a little bit of dimension to him as well. We get to see him, and not only that, we get to see Alejandro kind of get fucked up, especially near the end of the movie where he almost gets killed, and is left for dead. So, like I said, the Toro, great performance all throughout. Josh Brolin as Graver, more gets added to his character as well. We see him actually, at odds with his bosses in a lot of the scenes where he wants to do things one way, yet they want things done another way. And the shit really hits the fan where the Josh Brolin and his group kill a bunch of Mexican police officers on foreign soil, which causes a complete shit show that he has to now be forced to deal with. So I like all that. I like how all that works, and not only that, they're also trying to find they also think that these cartels send terrorists to the United States, but it's proven that the terrorists that caused these bombings at the beginning of the movie were actually domestic terrorists. So he's got to deal with a bunch of the bureaucratic crap along the way, and he's also tasked with hunting down and killing Isabella, and something that he actually does not end up doing, which is great. It adds another to Graver's character. Like Graver can be this dick in a way, but there's some element to him. Like he won't just flat out kill a child, and he says she'll be fine. He ends up putting her in the witness protection program. So Alejandro and Graver, to me, they get more character expansion. We get to see more of them and things that they do. So I think that stuff is great too. I think this movie has a pretty good supporting cast that includes Kathleen Keener, Matthew Modine, and Jeffrey Donovan, who returns as the character of Steve Forsing, who's pretty much like the right hand man of Graver because they work really closely together, and he's fine in the role. Kathleen Keener as pretty much Graver's boss. I like her. I like the scenes with her and Brolin, them constantly bickering at one another. And Matthew Modine pretty much represents the United States government as the man who issues up the final say and pretty much the orders. He's fine too. So yeah, the supporting cast in this movie is good. The story to this movie is a little bit overbloated. I think this movie should have been more, streamlined like in the first movie. I think this movie has a little bit more as is trying to do maybe a little bit too much. You know, you have Graver who has to start a war between the cartels, while all the while you have Alejandro pretty much protecting this little girl who is kidnapped. Now, mind you, Graver had to stage a kidnapping as a way to get this since this girl is a daughter of a drug kingpin. They had to stage an entire kidnapping, just and to use her as leverage, pretty much. But yeah, it's you gotta and then you have this other subplot about this kid named Miguel who wants to be initiated into the Mexican gang as well. So like this movie has like a lot of moving parts to it. It's trying to do maybe a little bit too much. And I think it kind of lose focuses in a lot of areas as well. I'm not a big fan of movies trying to cram too much story instead of like having a streamlined story. I mean, to me personally, this movie just needed the Graver storyline to start the Graver storyline and Alejandro's storyline with the little girl. That's pretty much all this movie needed. Everything else is just a little bit, just makes this movie feel a little bit bloated on the story side of things. Uh, on a technical level, I think this movie is really well shot. It looks really, really good. I like the visual aesthetic in the first movie compared to this one. I think the cinematography in this movie is a little bit more. I don't know. Compared to the first, the cinematography in this movie is just a little bit more washed out in a way. It's not as colorful as that first movie. This cinematography feels more washed out, but it does have some cool visuals here and there, and the gunfight scenes are really entertaining. Though I think they may be and the shootout scenes are really entertaining. And this movie tries to up the ante a little bit in terms of its violence as compared to the first movie. But I don't mind that at all. From a production standpoint, the movie is well directed, and it does have some cool cinematography here and there as well. So yeah, basically those are just my thoughts on Sicario Day the Soldado. All in all, I enjoyed this movie. I think it's a fitting continuation of the Sicario story, and I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.